We left off over here on page 100. We're in Mishna Berura, page 100. He had spoken if a letter was originally written with black ink and then it turned reddish. So he cited the machlokas, whether it's valid or not, will be a problem with Kisidron. Of course, one is considered ink that became old. Black ink that ages turns brown, or has this reddish hue. Second line, it takes on this reddish hue. Is growing. It turns into a brownish color. Nevertheless, you shouldn't leave it in that state. You should freshen it with the quill, meaning to darken it. He says it's almost absolutely clear. It's not considered mochik. It's not like writing over a red letter. Because the brown is considered black ink, which aged, so it's still black. So it's not called mochik. It's the equivalent of ink on ink, black on black. What happens if it aged to a degree that it's no longer brown, it's red to that degree? Which is not the case of ordinary ink. Let's say after you'd written it, after a short period of time it turned red. That means the ink was never made, was never proper ink. That means there was a deficiency in the ink. Takora also b'sefer Torah. Ain't takora also sefer Torah. He says that sefer Torah, there's no way to correct it. Why? Because if it turned very quickly, it's not because it's aged, the ink. It was made, the wrong ingredients were added to that ink, right? So initially that was never written. So if you're going to go over with a quill, so every time you come to Shem Hashem, it's considered mochik, right? You can't trace the red letter with a black letter, with black ink. So there's no ubeshemus also l'havir olav dio, and all the shemus Hashem, you're not allowed permitted to go to trace it with black ink because that's considered you're erasing the red letter. Ein shav shemarach lo zebil sebetayma. Good.
You're talking about the whole Torah being written with that
with this deficient ink.
Right, but it was just one letter. Maybe he dipped it in the wrong ink. Did a letter with the wrong ink.
No, the problem is only the shemus Hashem. It's only the names of. So let's say it's one Shem Hashem. He wrote once, he cut it out, then you put a patch and you rewrite it. But all
it's not going to be one letter.
He wrote a whole Sefer Torah with this. Then let's say 6 months later, the whole Sefer Torah turns red. Right? So it's a problem. So.
The issue of the Tefillin is also, if you have the black letter, they turn brown just from aging. How do you correct that? Is it considered an issue or?
You could trace it over with black ink.
You could.
Yeah, because that's still that ink. Already.
As a kosher writing.
Correct. Right. Correct. Okay. Chof Ches, page 100. Yesh li zor shli koris rosh halamid ba'avir ha'hei. Let's say on the upper line you have a hay, and the upper part of the lamed goes in between the two legs of the hay. It's not touching it. Or a ches, or between the two legs of the ches. Afilu below negi, even if it's not touching. You'd say, why? The hay is the hay, and the lamed is the lamed. He says you should be careful. Chof Ches, shli koris afilu koshu rosh halamid ba'ashura shelamal imeno. Even to a small degree, the top of the lamed should not go into the upper line. V'adin b'chof pshuta u'chedome shli koris b'ashur shlamata b'os hates v'ayin chedome. You have a elongated num, and it goes into the rope of the line below it, and there's a space between the test. There's a space between the right and the left, and it goes there. It doesn't touch the letter. Doesn't touch the letter whatsoever. Still, it should not be done. Ba'avir ha'hei v'adin ba'avir alif. Oh, tough chedome. It's tough. Letter from below, the lower line goes up between. Kolshkim shizoshli konis ba'avir dalid. That's understood because it goes in there. The dalid, it looks like a hay, right? You have a dalid, and let's say to the left side of the right leg, the lamed goes up. So what does it look like? It looks like a hay. O reish shel yira kei chemkame o ches vuadin im nichnas rosh lamed b'toch avir shel chop pshuta. You have a chop sofis. You have an ending chaf, same idea. Kilakami siv kodin kovam beit shuas marim brisk B'sivches ein shom v'chein hekel b'zagon Rabbi Kiva Eger b'chudusha b'di'evet it's kosher. All these things that he says should be careful, but the Evid, as long as it doesn't distort the letter by entering into its airspace, it's b'di'evet, it's okay. Lizor.
To go into the Dalet and making it.
No. If it changes what it looks like, that's possible. He was from out. Let's say it goes. You have both legs of the hay, and the lamed goes in between, and doesn't touch either.
Right, so it doesn't look like a new letter. It
Doesn't
looks
look
like a distorted
still
letter.
with the evidence. It's kosher. He says you should be careful. He doesn't say it's possible. Below negia, the negia belafol chipos mishum cheser hakovas gvil. Mashla shulchan aruch the koshi ish lizor dafkel chatchila. From the way the Mechaber writes it, means only chatchila. It's best to be careful. Avaloli kuv b'di'evet, but it doesn't disqualify, invalidate the Torah or the Tefillin. Zuz harim milishlo nichnas b'yishifosi tzuras osai. He says, he's saying, it's only if by entering into the airspace of the letter, it doesn't distort the form of the letter. It looks like the original letter. Gon shenichlas rak ma'at. Avan nichlas kol kach b'yishinishtan tzuras os. It entered to a degree that now the letter no longer looks like what it's supposed to look like. Shetin v'lo chakim v'lo tipish. In the chasa lo shita tachtona, shlei nire rak rosh halamed. You cover it. You cover the bottom of the lamed. All you see is what the upper part of the lamed in the airspace of the upper letter, and now the letter looks different as a result of that. Lo gufa lamed lo yakar os mashu mahu havishinu tzuras. That's considered you've distorted the form of the letter. Uposul. And it's not possible to correct it if it's tefillin mezuzah because it's considered out of order. Right? If it looks like another letter. Even if the child should read it, but factually see, as we said earlier, the Ramos says, if you see it, it looks like another letter. It's irrelevant how a child reads it. Factually, if it looks like another letter, it's possible. We see ourselves that it's not the letter that's supposed to look like. So it's better to scratch it off. And let's say the top is long enough.
Right, but it goes in and makes it look
So you scratch it off a little bit and you fix it.
Because you can still do that. As long as you didn't write another letter.
You can even do it afterwards. Because b'di'evet it's kosher. B'di'evet it's kosher. So again, if b'di'evet it's kosher, now that if you scrape off the top part, and it's still the lamed, and the upper part, it looks like the upper, it's not a problem. Right, correct. That's what he's saying. Lamed. Excuse me. Im eina parshius shkuras befiv. Let's say a person's a sofer, and he doesn't have the parshas that he's writing committed to memory in terms of how they're spelled. Shkuras befiv means not only the words, how they're spelled. Let's say a sofer's written hundreds of mezuzahs. Does he have to write from a mezuzah to write the other mezuzah? Or he can write it from memory because he knows it so well. So the Mechaber says, Im eina parshius shkuras befiv, if he's not fluent in the parsha, he has to write it from something that's written. Meaning the text is written, and he copies letter by letter, or word by word from what he's copying from.
What is this telling us?
No, don't rely on your memory, because he's telling you
Sounds so obvious.
because it's you say you correct it. Worst of the answer is you can't correct it, because since we're talking about tefillin or mezuzah, once you make the mistake, you go too far, you can't go back. That's what he's telling you. Chavtes. Shkurs befiv. Dainu be'eish shu maschil lichto b'stomem adayin ein boki. B'kriyos. Initially, a person just began safros. Right? He's new boy on the block as a sofer. So he hasn't written that much. You want to be smart, don't rely on your memory. Unless it's committed to memory to the point that you could actually almost visualize the letters, the words, you shouldn't write it from memory. Ein bok kriyos al peh karoi b'frat. Moli v'choser, he says, especially when it comes to moli and choser, even you write the right word, sometimes the word has a vav, sometimes it doesn't have the vav. Tohak sav umpi makri, or somebody actually is actually reading the letters to you, or telling you how to spell it. Kedei shlo yite, the mixes ha parsha shkub mefiv. Let's say part of the parsha Yes, committed to memory, exactly how it's written, what the words and how it's spelled. That part, we don't be concerned, it'll go beyond that point. He says, nevertheless, the Bach writes, it's considered mitzvah min ha-muvchar. Not to rely on your memory, but you should write it from the ksav. Meaning from another written text. Why is that mitzvah min ha-muvchar? The person that has it is committed to memory.
It'll be done. No, it's going to be done the right way.
It'll be done. He says still, it's mitzvah min ha-muvchar. It's a question of respect. If you'd be writing a document, let's say for the king, as much as you know it from memory, no one's infallible. You never know. So to make sure, beyond doubt, you're going to write it you're going to copy it from the text to make sure there's not even a chance you're going to make a mistake. So when you write the tefillin or mezuzah, that it's an object of mitzvah. So therefore, that's the mitzvah of muvchar. I mean, if actually it's shkur b'fiv, if it's committed to memory, he knows exactly every letter, how its word has to be written. What's the reason? It's covered. It's a sign of respect. So that's the mitzvah of muvchar. There's a famous Yerushalmi, the Gemara says in Megillah, that Koral Pelo Yotze. If you read the Megillah from memory, you're not Yotze, right? It has to be read from a text. So Yerushalmi says Rameir was, the Gemara says in Eruvin, which we learned, Rameir was a sofer. He was a sofer. And he definitely had a good memory. So he was on a boat. He didn't have Megillah, it was Purim. But he had the parchment, he had a quill, and he had the ink. So what did he do? He wrote the Megillah from memory. And after he wrote the Megillah from memory, he read it from the cloth, from the parchment. That's what he did. Koral Peh, to say it from memory, it's not valid. So he first has to commit it to writing on the parchment. Now he has the Megillah, and now he wrote the Megillah. I remember many years ago, there was a Russian came to Baltimore, and he was a calligrapher. He was like an artist, and he was about tshuva. And to be able to become a certified sofer, you have to pass an exam. Of course, you have to receive like a diploma from a person who's qualified to give such a diploma to endorse him that he knows the laws and he meets all the standards of what a proper sofer is. This person cannot pass the test for whatever reason. It was a mental block, or he didn't know the halachas, and he needed parnasa. And so he came to me, and he says to me, he wrote a beautiful Megillah, and in those days, and it was really tzedakah. And I'm going back now, maybe close to 40 years ago. He says, I'll sell to you for $500. So I said, I'll buy it from you. It was beautiful, beautiful Megillah. But the Megillah being beautiful and everything else is totally real, if the letter's not necessarily, even if as long as most of the letters are written properly, it's kosher. Even if some letters are missing, it's kosher Megillah. Right? We're not talking about a Sefer Torah, mezuzah, or tefillin. So for tefillin, Sefer Torah, mezuzah there, he didn't make the grade. He wasn't able to pass the exam. But for Megillah, it was enough. I'm just saying. Not so simple. When you take the exam, you have to know many, many, many halachas. And they also test you how you write, how you form the letters. Lamid. Einu rashoy lichtov elam ken yudei likros. Here, it's not enough just to copy letters. You have to be able to read. You have to be able to read. Why? The person will copy letter by letter. Right? Handwriting analysis. It doesn't make a difference what language you write in. Right? They're able to tell by the curvatures. They're able to tell what the person is. Different parts, aspects of his personality, whatever it may be. He'd say, look, he copied the letter, so he doesn't know it's a yud, he doesn't know it's a vav, it's irrelevant. He's copying the letter. So he says, the lafochi bekal yochol litos ve'ena margish. Because if you don't know how to read and you don't know what you're writing, you could easily make a mistake and you don't even realize you made a mistake. So therefore, don't get involved. Unless you know how to read and you know what you're writing, doesn't mean you understand the words. Doesn't mean you understand the words, but at least you can read the words, what the words are. Kuf lamed ches. Levush. Okay, let's see then. Mr. Shalom.